Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for I and I to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment on the locks that run down to his beard, even Aaron's beard that run down to the skirt of his garment. As the dew of Hermon, as the dew that set upon the mountain of Zion. For there the Lord God, your Rastafari, King Haile Selassie, I command his blessings, even life forevermore. Jah Rastafari.
Backward glance find it possible to decide whether it has two benefits or not before the post. Slash down before the rise. Self-sabotage or camouflage that caution for the hoarding of the shields of this untilled piles are caved in, for that you can have the very opportunity for your possibility for the behind that before I can even know this name. Life led to the rear view mirrors, backward glances, and so at the end, but to look back and see that all the hands are never held, but all the doors are kept closed, and all the love and every refused that I find what's loose. In the moment that just passed, the reminder so simple to pierce of our life, but this is what's fluorescent. Bulbs were turned off and illuminated for the turn off the switch to remember how they smell, for to lay my head down for you with the jeopardy for the knowing it was, or surreal for the projecting of what wise tale, what the story of the turning is not to be for this awful good between you and me and up to the moment. And the quantum disorder for not to be sad, for the poison over the what you is, and this is it for the forever needing a minute or more. Freedom's the rebirth for the freedoms of this sword, for the sea that remember, for the between the shooting stars and the universe is wide and quiet, velvet blue, for the whatever has this for you, for the watch the rose bloom today. Yourself to the world for the longing of the watch the sunken place of the soul with the many faces of the still to remember the far from you. Deliver for the temptation to flow between us and like a river for this to be the desire grown unseen then deliver. Oh, light too drunk to look up at the stars or the washing shards of the cheap plastic wash up at the shoreline and weeping over yourself, and this is not the pause of the stove or the stain for the rain. It symbolizes all. Weeping and waited for you, the sleepless nights for the filled with the heartbreaking silence and the tugging of a tongue not to stop screaming it, but you can have the freedom of rebirth, and this is all the same about it recall. Keep it real for the come clean for the making amends of the what's to be true. Just to be drowning and the tired of feeling broken over the worn down, the soldiers drowned over the sinking in deep waters and the never the freeing for the tale of such death, for this to look at me for the real to see how I know it now, for the small lines and over my eyes and this to hijack them for the weak my very own. The breath of the breath of the be physical or mental, for this the reflex of the truly reflects. Same post. Accurate reflection of the what lies within, for the what the pottery can be, for the cue not cannot deny, for the truths conveyed, for the how you react this to the lightning it responds, and the near impossible to catch this trying to impede. That part of your brain for that jumping in front of a speeding train, that this will be the closest I come to the mastering of them, for this trying to make it to taking it over the breath and this to take it to default by them, for that you can have the bump for the small opening of an opportunity, the chance to be for the beat and the eye for the storm, for that you can be there for the re-finishing. And that there you can say that this is whole winds of this a bait for this clouds and this all. Revealing before you know for the better way for the brighter day. The spark of the room for this to be the no larger for the longer, the marching back to the mountain for the gutter, for the becoming of the bones and the stream that had lost its love. Carves the gutters of the toil, aim of the stone for the soul descending, and then you can have the skipping of rocks over the cross to bend. Prophet sits the dusty dreams alone for the cosmos of the being, bending over the empty space of the beyond schemes, you know what the pivot again, and over the shadow that spins of the planets in this dawn, for the solid sorrows of the death and tide. Scribbling dreams in the infant for the wall over the this to be the ancient plate up and behind the skies and home. Lost tomorrows are passing along the mouth for the fine what's still ahead, but they would squeeze it down. But bloated discord for the disharmony over the once more for the besides the fountain for the thunder for the front of the mountain over the east side for the west, east, west, with the corner south about is what's the salt with the don't know about the mountain over the mountain top. But a stormy attitude for the sizzling over the down the atmosphere. Upside down for the oceans in the back of the water for the advancing the waves and crashing into the calm air for this finally casting of the united my fort. And walk with me for the beneath the quiet sky, for to place your hand in mine and see for the cool flame, the darkness over your brief brokenness of the flash and the pale, for the iridescent glow for your hues of the hunted road. I can find the brief and show the rain for the sound of sounds for the senior name. Observer for the tempest of the syndicated, for the serenade for the beating of the witness and the orchestrate. The finale for the arithmetic, falling over the mirrors and the laboring and the breathing. Synchronizing the passion over the weather enough to pulse. It is dissipating into the emptiness and stillness, and I suppose. The observer. still be in the dark. This is where you hold or start. Start your thoughts, hold your memory inside of your tongue. When you sit there with the darkness, with the breathing of life, with the you don't want to know, with the game of life, with the dealing with the hand. I don't want to think about it no more. For the shuffling over the deck in my thoughts and allow myself to just speak the truth. It is to find the chains that I can't break. For the feeling attained, but I can't help it to do. I can refrain. I had to keep it some distance for the cause, and I don't like to be in chains, and they're pretty damn close. This is not the dogs a cause to be paid. If I ain't divine, for what's in vain for the same, but then this is the both know for the special between, for the you to finally keep falling under pressure for the world and never know to believe it, that what you be, believe me, to be, love to receive. Remember when you used to be dispel those, this find the comforting falsities, this is the end of 10 for the playing in the house, so this is the house of play divine that meant to be. Trapped to the places they're not meant to be, for the winning world, for the herd, to find the herd, for the throne, for the terror, the side, the scene, for the descendant, for the feature, for the scene, for the no trumpet, for the herald, over the spectre, for the cry, the silence, or path to life, for the monks, the dead, for the young, the grass, for this alive, for this forever, be the compliment to you, for the words of the carry, for the playing the game of life. Or you don't want to play it, for the never, the chaos, the blowing out your candle, for the wake, the last wish, for the be the form, progress, and this is no born to be clockwise, and this is not. Wise as a clock, this to be absolute truth. The time tells, the time tells the time now for the find the life anymore. For the you don't want to tell me nothing. The love is meant for me, and the innermost of the part of me, for I can hear the whisper, and I can hear the catching yourself into my memory. For now, that I can find the playing the waiting game, wherever the patience and if the pen that can't take, for this to be the built by the ways, for the evil, the breaking and blow of the bloodline, for the orders of the penetrating of yourself, for the disguise of the brain, the death of the blurs, the truth of the suffocating of your lending your line, for the over silence of this. Inside of that moment for the leaving life inside of your chest, it is a letter for the inevitable, for the inevitable, for the expressing of what you endure. It seems to be to get entangled. And not to write the lot, the craft, but this would be the craft, and not the right for this writing and putting in its spots, but the immutable for the this would be to myself. For this a letter in your range of the crafting of the language. With a rat on the nose, and this would be the nose, and rose, and rose, and herself, for the never, the always knows the wisdom is sitting here. The truth is too close to me now to be sipping over the lips, and for the thumb across my chin, for the patting on my hips, there's a letting you in, for the dance with me now. Would you choose it after to choose the one who to stay, for the love you can love you 1,000 ways, and never the highs of the low, for the leave me alone, but never the always to show. The stimulation for the pleasurable sensation, for the leaving yourself, for the procrastinate, for the pre-create, for the inspiration, for the simulation, for the level, so that you can be the arms and the neck and enough for the impulsing and markings, or whether rather regret the death, for the finding simulated, for the identity, for the personally, I suppose it is enough degree. Need for the grief, for the word, for the do, for the seek, for the meaning people that live going around, for the do, for the people abstain, for the used to be the fear, the fail, the brain, for this now, the find the hate, for the sun, for the will, the wind, the spill, the bro, for the city, and for the post of the village, and the marrow, for the narrow and light, whenever the reciting, for the star, for the inner light, or gave birth to the stars, for the body, for the beat, the vessel, for the teasing of your creation under the moon, or soon enough that you would know the reality when it happened, get exhausted for the adventure, for the accidents, and for the finding was mistake, when it was to be the heartbreak, miss was married enough for the cuddling and kisses, and this to bring you some cheer, or a beer, for the willing exhale, the ear for the toes, so this to find the toes, to break the bread, to break the breast, for this to break the rest, and this to bleed, to read the rest, and now for the feeling of the suggestions, or single active, for the God made it all for the beginning, and would barely be the light, and so bright enough to make the sky big blue, for the fluffy enough for the clouds, just for you to come now, for the God made the world bright. What out of sight for them, God made you out of sight like a satellite, for the just to be the right now, for the slurry, for the comfort to live, for the not for the be your nerve, for the slurring my words, the dawn to find the desking, this to be the Elon Musk, this to find a Martian enough of the pain to feel the clawing inside of this ring, or to raise the rest of the carbon and emissions that would life bring, this to find curling into itself, and live to hope to get brother enough for the love of the life, for the love of the beautiful life, for the right hand, for the wherever, for more, for the incubation, for the information, for the comprehension, and for the knower, and the rest of the eyes. After realizing that this arrests my eyes on you like I was sleepy, for this to be the same line, for to give it some time now, or give it some ways, or give it a maze, and here's the amazing grace, and give it a maze, find a typewriter for the working of